Good morning, my dear children. Sai Ram, how are you all? I hope you all are fine. Welcome, children, to the English online class. Today we will going to learn summary writing. Okay, summary writing. So, children, do you know what is summary writing? A summary retells the main events of a story in a shorter version. Okay, a summary retells the main events of a story in a shorter version. For example, if you have read any story, what you have to do, if someone asks you to summarize the story, what you will do, you will just write the main events of a story. You do not have to need not to write the full story, but you have to write only the main events of a story in a shorter version. Summarizing is telling the important events. Summarizing is telling the important events or ideas in a story in your own words. That means while you do summarize of any story, text, paragraph, document, what you do, you only note down or you only write down the main events of a story, important events or ideas in your own words. In your own words. Okay, now what points you have to remember while writing summary? First, summarizing is telling the important events or ideas. As I have told you, that summarizing is telling the important events or ideas in a story in your own words. In your own words means that doesn't mean that whatever you are feeling you can write. Own words means you have to pick out the main events and ideas from the paragraph, from the story, then you have to write it down in your own words. A good summary does not give your ideas or opinions. As I have told you, in your own words means whatever you are feeling, whatever ideas, opinions you are getting, that doesn't mean you will write it down. What you have to do is you have to only take out the events and ideas and you have to portray or you have to write it down in your own words. But you could not write your ideas or opinions while doing summary, while doing summarize. Okay, now to summarize a story you need to include the story elements. That means whatever you are writing while summarizing, you have to pick out those words, events, phrases from the story itself. The elements should be from the story itself. Okay, as I have told you, you should not write your ideas or opinions, but you have to include the elements from the story itself. You should include the setting, the main characters, the problem and the solution while writing summary. That means first you should know that what the story is about, what are the main characters, then what is the problem and what could be the solution. So this is what you have to keep in mind while writing summary. Now here, summarizing. Now what is summarizing? What is it? Summarizing is taking a large selection of text and then reducing it to a smaller pieces. Summarizing is taking a large selection of text and then reducing it to smaller pieces. Reducing it to smaller pieces. That means you took a whole story, and then if someone asks you to summarize it, what you do, you just reduce it to a smaller pieces, or you just write it down in a shorter version, right? Then summarizing is finding the main idea of text or paragraph. That means whatever it is written in the story, that doesn't mean you will write down the exact story while summarizing. No, what you have to do, you have to find out the main idea. That means what that story is trying to portray, what that story is trying to tell. So you have to only pick out the main idea of a text or paragraph and then you will summarize it. Okay, it is also finding the supporting details of the main idea. In other words, summarizing is retelling only the important parts of the story in your own words. That means while summarizing, you have to pick out the important parts of the story, only important parts of the story. Okay, so what is summarizing? Summarizing is telling or summarizing is retelling only the important parts of the story in your own words. Now what are we doing when we summarize? What we do, children, when we summarize? When we are summarizing, we are taking all the extra words out of the story or text. That means we only need what? We only need main events, right? So we just take out all the extra words out of the story or text. Then we look for keywords or phrases that will still tell someone about what you have read. So what we do while summarizing, children, we look for keywords or phrases, that means to give a gist or to give the idea of what you have read. Now a summary should never be longer than the story. That means the summary a summary which you are writing, it should not be longer than the story, because it will not be correct. Summary means you are reducing the length of the story. You are just telling the main points, main events of the story, right? Summarize are a lot shorter than the original story or text. Okay, now students should pull out the main idea. Now what you have to do while summarizing, children? You have to pull out the main idea. That means you have to take out the main idea from the story. Students should focus on the key details about the main idea. That means the key elements of the story you have to take out. Then you have to use keywords or phrases from the story itself. Then students should write down just enough to tell someone about what they have read. That means just to give a hint, just to give an idea, just to give a gist. Okay, now the three little pigs. Now first let's read out this story. There once were three little pig brothers. There once were three little pig brothers who were to build a house but had different ideas of how to do it and were in danger of being eaten by the big bad wolf. That means three little pigs were there. The three little pigs are what? Brothers, and they want to build a house, but they are in very difficult situation, right? Because they were in danger also that the wolf will eat them up. The first little pig built his house out of straw. Had his house blown down by the big bad wolf and was eaten. First little pig built his house out of straw, and the house was blown down by the big bad wolf and was eaten. That means the first little pig was eaten by the bad wolf. The second little pig built his house out of sticks, and his house blown down by the big wolf and was eaten. So the second little pig chose sticks to build his house, but the result was the same. He was eaten by the wolf. Now the third little pig built his house out of bricks, and his house held up when the big bad wolf came to blow it down. So the third little pig's house was very strong because he built his house out of bricks. So the bad wolf could not blow down his house, and the third little pig was safe as the bad wolf couldn't eat him. So the third pig lived happily ever after. Now you have to summarize this story. Now how we will do it? Let's see here. First you should know the characters. The characters are three little pigs and a wolf, right? If you have to give the main idea, so you can say that this story is about a three little pigs and a wolf. Okay, so the three little pigs is about three pigs and a wolf So the three little pigs is about three pigs and a wolf. Main characters are three pigs and a wolf. The wolf blows down two of the pigs' houses as it was made of straw and sticks, and he wants to eat them. What the fox want? Fox want to eat the three little pigs, but The two little pigs, they chose straw and sticks to build their house, and at the end they were eaten up by the fox. And he doesn't blow down the brick house, right? The third little pig used bricks to make it build his house, and he was safe as his house was very strong. Because it is too strong, he doesn't get to eat the third pig. The wolf was not able to eat the third pig. So this is how you summarize the story, right? So you should not write everything, whatever is written in the story, you should not write it down whole, but you have to only took out the main events, main characters, problem solution from the story, so that it gives the idea, okay, to the reader. Now we summarize to make connections. Why we summarize, children? We summarize to make connections. We summarize to learn new materials. We summarize to make sure we understand what we have read. To understand what we have read. Okay, so children, go through the video again. Sai Ram.